Some influencers go live to gain followers. These 6 went live to lose control. They weren't built for betrayal, couldn't handle rejection, and when the algorithm shifted in someone else's favor, they didn't post through the pain. They turned the ring light into a spotlight for murder, out of jealousy, out of ego, out of pure, calculated rage. Before I show you how 6 creators killed for views, for control, or because someone outshined them, tell us where you're watching from and what time it is right now. And don't forget to subscribe, because these killers didn't hide behind the camera, they performed in front of it. Jaden, the vibe Larson, wasn't the kind of influencer who liked to share. He built his following on solo charisma, choreographed dances, bold pranks, and a toxic charm that made girls swoon and brands nervous. At 24 years old, with 2.1 million TikTok followers and a verified Instagram dripping with energy drinks, rented Lambos, and muscle-flexing mirror selfies, Jaden was exactly the kind of creator the internet rewarded. Loud, relentless, and always one video away from a meltdown. He didn't rise to fame because he was talented. He rose because he knew how to command attention. But the moment that attention started shifting to someone else, especially someone he loved, something in him broke. That someone was Olivia Liv Ray, his girlfriend, content partner, and co-star in hundreds of viral couple challenge clips. When they first met, she was barely at 200K followers, a pastel aesthetic creator who posted makeup tutorials and low-key vlogs. Jaden pulled her into his orbit, told his fans they were soulmates, and rebranded her as part of the number sign Vibe House couple. Their views tripled overnight, but as Liv's charm outpaced his ego, their dynamic flipped. Brands started reaching out to her directly. Fans commented more about her smile than his stunts. And then it happened. Liv crossed 1 million followers. Jaden didn't clap. He clenched. Friends noticed the shift. He started mocking her voice in group chats, telling collaborators she was getting full of herself. Off camera, he became possessive. On camera, the pranks got darker. Liv once flinched during a live stream after he pretended to throw a full cup at her. But fans laughed it off. He said it was just content. She stayed quiet. The night he killed her started like any other content setup. Tripods, LED panels, a ring light on its 4th brightness level. They were filming a spicy noodle challenge prank where Jaden promised his fans he'd dump red chili paste into Liv's bowl when she wasn't looking. What he didn't show was the real script he had written for the night. He labeled it a last laugh video, a moment that would shut the comments up forever. Because in his mind, Liv hadn't just passed him, she'd humiliated him, and that meant she had to be punished. In his kitchen drawer, beneath a false bottom utensil tray, Jaden had hidden a black ceramic paring knife, compact, razor-edged, and untraceable. He ordered it weeks earlier from an obscure combat store online using a prepaid Visa card. That night, as Liv danced in front of the camera, reheating noodles, Jaden smiled behind her. Every beat was timed. At 8:42 p.m., the stream began. Comments flooded in. "Queen Liv! She's glowing!" "Jaden who?" His jaw locked tighter with each emoji. The prank began. Fake laughing, noodle eating, sweat, and banter. Liv coughed and laughed. Jaden got up to grab a towel. What he grabbed instead was the blade. In the replay footage, now sealed as evidence, you can see the instant shift. His eyes scan the room. He steps behind her, off frame for 3 seconds. Then, with sudden speed, he lunges. One hand wraps around her jaw. The other plunges the knife deep into her throat. No scream, just one gurgled gasp. Blood sprayed across the stove. The stream glitched. For 5 horrifying seconds, viewers saw Liv fall forward, clutching her neck, as Jaden reached toward the laptop with bloodied fingers. Then the stream cut. His followers thought it was a prank, until the next post never came. What Jaden didn't account for was the automatic screen recording set by the streaming plugin, which uploaded the entire session to a cloud folder in real time. Minutes later, thousands of fans had already clipped and shared it. Police were flooded with calls, and Jaden, standing in his kitchen soaked in blood, had no time left to clean anything. But he tried. He dragged Liv's body to the bathroom, turned on the tub, and began scrubbing himself while sobbing incoherently. He shoved her phone into the garbage disposal, tried wiping the counters with paper towels, but by 9:17 p.m., the police were knocking. Neighbors had heard everything. The door was unlocked. Officers entered to find Liv's body slumped beside the tub, throat slashed, fingers curled inward, eyes open. Jaden sat on the floor, rocking silently. The knife was never recovered. He had flushed it during the first seconds of panic. But it didn't matter. His hands were the evidence. The stream was the weapon. And every follower he ever lied to had just watched him kill the only person who loved him. Jaden Larson didn't resist when the officers pulled him off the tile floor. He didn't speak, didn't ask what was happening. He looked dazed, as if the script had run out and no one had told him. At the precinct, his silence became part of the performance. He refused to make a statement, asked for his manager, then his lawyer, then nobody. For hours, detectives sat across from a man who had just committed a murder on camera and showed no reaction beyond occasional muttering and glances toward the one-way mirror. What cracked him wasn't the interrogation, it was the footage. When they showed him the raw stream archive, uncut, with comments flashing in real time as Liv collapsed, Jaden finally twitched. Then he whispered, "That wasn't how it was supposed to go." Investigators found everything they needed inside his digital footprint. In a deleted folder on his MacBook titled Scripts, they found a 3-page document titled Vibe House Twist. It was a fictionalized version of the night, ending in a staged stabbing that goes viral and gets me my respect back. He had rehearsed this, storyboarded it, even wrote an ending where Liv survives, smiles, and says, "That was crazy, babe." But the real Liv never got to read it. Forensic analysts traced his browser history. 2 weeks before the murder, he searched "how to hide knife in prank video," "artery depth neck wound," and "how long does it take to die from slash." In his Amazon order history, 1 ceramic black knife, 1 blood powder prank kit, 1 pair of latex gloves. Every item delivered, every step tracked. Prosecutors later said it was a premeditated murder disguised as a content collaboration. In court, Jaden pled not guilty by reason of diminished capacity. His lawyers claimed the pressure of social media had fractured his identity, that he didn't know what was real or scripted anymore. But the jury didn't buy it. They watched the video. They read the script. They heard Liv's sister describe the days before the murder, the way Liv had called her crying, saying Jaden had started treating her like a prop, that she wanted to leave the channel, that she didn't feel safe anymore. It took the jury 6 hours to convict him of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life without parole. But the aftermath didn't end there. The live stream had been downloaded over 9 million times before TikTok could issue takedown notices. It was reposted, remixed, dissected by commentary channels and reaction YouTubers. Some called it fake, others blamed Liv. One channel recreated the scene in Roblox. Her parents begged for it to stop. TikTok issued a vague statement about ongoing policy review, but the algorithm didn't care. Views were views, and Jaden from a prison cell became a cautionary tale turned cult figure. His old videos surged in popularity. Fans wrote him letters. Some claimed the murder was accidental performance art, but the DA said it best during sentencing. He didn't just kill her, he filmed her death and called it content. In the end, the very thing Jaden wanted, to be remembered, to go viral, to outshine her, happened. But not the way he imagined. Liv's last words weren't scripted. Her blood wasn't fake, and no edit, no caption, no trending sound could change the truth. He looked into a camera and destroyed someone, because the comments said she was better than him. Jaden killed for attention, but the next man killed for silence. He didn't want to outshine anyone. He wanted to erase someone, permanently. This influencer didn't live stream the murder. He live streamed everything else, the manipulation, the threats, the gaslighting, until one night his ex showed up on his feed unexpectedly, and within hours, she was gone for good. Kai the Drop Sinclair wasn't a killer when he hit record. He was just another mid-tier streamer with a dedicated Discord, a $3,000 gaming rig, and a bruised ego hidden behind LED lights. Known for rage reactions, toxic takedowns, and long rants about fake clout, Kai had built a loyal following of mostly teenage boys who watched him play shooters and eviscerate fellow creators. He wasn't the biggest name on Twitch, but he was loud, and in streaming, loud buys attention. When he started dating Amy Rowe, a fellow content creator known for chill, study with me streams and soft-spoken positivity, it seemed like an unlikely match. She was calm, cerebral, and low conflict. But that contrast became content. Fans shipped them. Their dual streams got traction. And for a while, Kai played the part of the ironic boyfriend, mocking her book choices, teasing her followers, and bragging that she needed him to stay relevant. What fans didn't see were the private messages he deleted seconds after sending. The gaslighting, the threats, the manipulation. He'd mock her on stream, then apologize in voice notes, demand login access to her YouTube, then say it was just for channel synergy. By late 2022, Amy had quietly left the relationship. Kai told his fans she had cheated, that she was chasing sponsor deals and playing the victim. But Amy said nothing until one day she did. In a now-deleted YouTube video titled "Why I Went Silent," Amy calmly described months of digital abuse, possessiveness, and fear. She never said his name. She didn't need to. The comments section knew exactly who she meant. Kai exploded. That night he streamed for 4 hours straight, raging, laughing, accusing. He showed a blurred photo of Amy's bedroom, threatened to drop receipts, called her a traitor in pastel. His mods tried to stop him. His sponsors began pulling out. The next day, Amy posted a tweet saying she was taking a break from online. Kai took it as a victory, but she wasn't running. She was preparing to file a harassment report. And when she showed up unannounced 2 days later to return some of his studio gear in person as a final gesture of closure, Kai was already unraveling. The cameras weren't rolling, the lights weren't on. But what happened in that studio would stain every surface, every file, every fiber of the soundproofed room where so many fake smiles were streamed. Kai didn't scream. He didn't argue. He picked up a weighted tripod stand and struck her, once to the side of the head, then again when she collapsed. No hesitation, no regret, just fury given form. Her body slumped against the green screen. Blood pooled into the carpet. And instead of calling for help, Kai opened OBS, clicked "Start Recording," and stared at himself in the monitor, breathing heavy, silent, as if waiting for someone to cue the next scene. Kai Sinclair never called 911. He never cried or confessed or claimed it was an accident. After he killed Amy Rowe in the same room he used to monetize his rage, he wrapped her in his old streaming banner, the one with his logo, The Drop, stitched across the vinyl in bold red, and zipped her into a military-style duffel bag he once used for travel vlogs. There was no cleanup attempt, no bleach, no gloves, just brute force and improvisation. Surveillance from his apartment building caught him carrying the bag down a rear stairwell at 3:14 a.m., avoiding the lobby camera. He loaded it into the trunk of his leased Tesla and drove east. His plan was desperate and dumb. Reach the coast, rent a boat, and dump the body into open water. But what Kai didn't realize was that his car's GPS had already pinged every stop he made. Gas stations, toll booths, even a coffee shop where he used Apple Pay. He stayed overnight at a cheap roadside motel under a fake name, using the same Gmail address tied to his Twitch business account. And when the smell from his car started leaking into the motel lot the next morning, another guest reported it. When police opened the trunk, the duffel bag was dripping. Inside, they found Amy's body curled into a fetal position, blood-soaked hair matted to the vinyl, her neck broken, face bruised, a cracked iPhone still in her jeans pocket. Kai was inside room 212, asleep on top of the sheets with his streaming mic still in his luggage. When officers entered, he reportedly mumbled, "I didn't even go viral." At trial, he pled not guilty, claiming it was self-defense. His lawyers tried to shift blame, pointing to Amy's arrival as uninvited, even suggesting her video provoked him. But the jury saw through it. The pathologist confirmed she was hit from behind, that the wound pattern was consistent with an ambush. And the kicker? The file on Kai's hard drive titled afterdrop.move, a recorded monologue he filmed minutes after the murder, seated at his desk, blood still on his hands, talking directly to camera. "You pushed me out. Now you get to be the martyr." The clip never aired, but it sealed his fate. He was sentenced to life without parole. Twitch deleted his account. YouTube issued a ban. Discord terminated his servers. But the legacy lingered. Fans split into factions. Some mourned Amy, others made memes. A disturbing subreddit called r/DropLivesMatter popped up, filled with conspiracy theories and users defending him. One even made a fan game reenacting the motel arrest. And worst of all, someone leaked the body cam footage of the trunk reveal. It hit Telegram, then TikTok, re-uploaded with music, edited for shock value. Amy's family begged platforms to stop the spread, but it was too late. The internet had already turned her death into a punchline, and Kai, even in a cage, got exactly what he craved, a legacy louder than the woman he silenced. Kai Sinclair tried to erase her after the stream ended, but the next killer didn't wait for silence. He made sure the moment itself, the murder, was caught live, not by accident, not in rage, but as a message. His viewers didn't see a crime. They saw a flex, a warning, a stunt. And when the screen cut to black, the damage was already irreversible. Eli Vroom Castro didn't start out dangerous. He started out annoying, a loud, over-caffeinated prankster who made his name zip-tying car doors shut, switching out brake pads as a joke, and duct-taping fog machines inside his friends' dashboards for cheap TikTok clout. With 1.7 million YouTube subscribers and a six-figure car sponsorship deal, Eli was the face of influencer auto-pranking. His content was messy, unregulated, and viral. He once swapped the engine oil in a friend's BMW with chocolate syrup for science. The video hit 12 million views, but behind the edits and revving soundtracks was a fragile ego. And the man who triggered it was Blake Monroe, his former filming partner turned competitor. Blake had split from Eli's channel in early 2022, claiming creative differences. In truth, Blake wanted boundaries. He didn't like the way Eli pushed people until they cracked, the way he humiliated friends on camera, then forced them to laugh it off to stay relevant. When Blake launched his own prank channel, more controlled, more polished, it took off. Brands migrated. So did fans. Eli smiled in interviews, pretended to support, but the jealousy curdled. Behind the scenes, he was obsessed. He called Blake a traitor, said he stole the formula, even mocked his videos live, playing them frame by frame with snarky commentary. Then Blake posted a milestone, 2 million subscribers, a new merch deal, a Tesla Model S wrapped in his branding. That same night, Eli posted a teaser titled "Taking Blake for One Last Ride," a collab video for the fans. The premise? A staged reunion prank. 2 friends, 1 car, and a wild surprise. Blake agreed. He thought it was peace. But Eli had something else planned. What Blake didn't know was that Eli had modified the steering assembly on the prank car. A 2010 Dodge Charger with a live stream GoPro mounted to the dash. The steering linkage had been tampered with using a quick release mod installed backwards, designed to disconnect under high-speed turning. He also loosened the lug nuts on the front passenger wheel and removed the ABS sensor. It was a death trap. But Eli packaged it in charm. They met at a remote lot. He laughed, hugged Blake, mounted the camera, said it was all love, said it was like old times. At 3:41 p.m., the live stream began. 34,000 viewers tuned in. Blake drove. Eli rode passenger. They joked, roasted each other. Fans spammed emojis. Then Eli dared Blake to hit 80 on the open back road. "For the content," he said. Blake grinned, unaware. The Charger surged forward. At 83 miles per hour, Blake swerved slightly, and the steering wheel detached. The car spun, screamed, flipped once, twice, landed driver's side first into a tree. The camera feed died on impact, the last frame a blur of trees and Eli's arm reaching for the GoPro. Viewers thought it was staged, until there was no follow-up post, no Instagram apology, just police sirens. The crash site told the story Eli Castro didn't expect anyone to piece together. Blake Monroe died on impact. Cervical spine shattered, rib cage collapsed, brain stem severed. The passenger side, where Eli sat, was barely dented. He crawled out with a broken wrist and a bruised rib. Paramedics said he was eerily calm, more concerned about his phone than the man dying next to him. "It was an accident," he repeated. "We were just messing around." But investigators weren't convinced. The Dodge Charger had no business being on that road, especially not with its steering rig sabotaged. Mechanics brought in to inspect the wreck found that the quick release system on the steering shaft had been installed intentionally backwards. That wasn't a joke. That was a design for failure. The lug nuts on the front wheel were finger-tight, not even torqued, and the ABS sensor wires had been cleanly cut. There was no question. Someone wanted that car to lose control at speed, and only one person had worked on it before the crash: Eli. Police searched his garage. They found GoPro backups, TikTok drafts, and most damning of all, a private Discord message sent to a friend just days before the live stream. It read, "One more spin with Blake. Bet it's the last collab he ever posts." That message, paired with raw live stream footage recovered from the cloud, sealed the case. The GoPro caught everything. The moment Blake joked, "You sure this thing's safe?" and Eli responded, "Only one way to find out." His smirk was still visible as the car veered into the trees. In court, Eli tried to laugh it off. He claimed the mods were for content, that it was a prank gone wrong. His fans flooded the internet with hashtags: #free vroom, #just a crash, not a murderer. Some even blamed Blake, said he couldn't handle the heat. But the jury didn't blink. The prosecutor called it vehicular homicide wrapped in influencer culture. The judge called it premeditated ego violence. Eli was sentenced to 32 years in prison. He showed no remorse, and still, the views kept coming. Blake's final stream, the one that showed his last smile, his last ride, his last breath, was clipped and reposted thousands of times. Reaction channels cried on camera. Others made memes. One YouTuber recreated the crash in GTA. Brands pulled out of prank channels. YouTube updated their content rules. But the truth was clear. Eli had built a platform on pushing limits. And when the limit became a coffin, he didn't slow down. He just tried to monetize it. Eli turned a steering wheel into a death sentence. But the next influencer didn't need props or planning. All she needed was her phone. and a reason. She went live with a smile. She ended with a scream. And by the time the comments stopped asking, "Is this real?" her best friend's body was already on the floor. Harley's sister Lux Dawson was always the main character, at least in her mind. With a ring light in one hand and a Charlotte Tilbury wand in the other, she dominated beauty TikTok for nearly 2 years with her trademark sarcasm, violet blush obsession, and brutal honesty that walked the line between empowering and mean. At 26, she'd built a massive following, 800,000 mostly female fans who tuned in for product reviews, get ready with me stories, and emotionally unstable unboxings. Her brand was curated chaos, but underneath the glam and chaos was a dangerous truth. Harley didn't like to share, especially not the spotlight. Especially not with Sadie Marlowe, her childhood best friend turned content partner who went viral overnight with a 15-second dupe video Harley told her not to post. Sadie was quieter, more natural. Where Harley leaned into persona, Sadie just talked, and that's what made people listen. In less than 4 months, Sadie went from Harley's sidekick to securing her own Ulta brand deal, a deal Harley was allegedly rejected for just weeks earlier. That rejection shattered her. Privately, she accused Sadie of stealing contacts, of mimicking her look, of being inspired by the wrong parts of her. Publicly, she smiled, collaborated, invited Sadie to do a sleepover GRWM stream, a routine they'd done dozens of times. Only this time, Harley had a different kind of makeover in mind. The stream began at 9:02 p.m. The setup was classic. 2 ring lights, 1 wide-angle phone, and a glitter-covered vanity table covered in highlighters, false lashes, and contour sticks. The theme was Bad Beach Night Out, but tension simmered under the foundation. Sadie wore a soft gold shimmer. Harley wore black liner like war paint. Their jokes landed weird. Their banter missed rhythm. Around 9:19, Sadie made a comment, casual, offhand, about how much she loved Harley's lip color and how they finally restocked it at Sephora. Harley's eyes twitched. It was her exclusive PR shade, not released yet. Sadie had clearly been gifted too. That was the last straw. At 9:24, Harley reached down for her concealer bag, a padded floral pouch that typically held brushes. But inside was a pair of small beauty scissors, sharp, stainless, and thin enough to pass as a prop. In one smooth motion, she leaned forward, fake laughed, and reached behind Sadie's ear, saying she'd missed a clip. The scissors entered just below the earlobe and pierced the carotid artery in one quick motion. Sadie gasped, grabbing her neck, blood flooding over her collarbone. Harley dropped the scissors and screamed. The stream glitched, but not before 6,700 people saw the moment live. Comments exploded. "What the F just happened? Is this a prank? Someone call 911. Sadie collapsed sideways, clutching Harley's leg. The camera kept rolling. Harley stared down, breathing hard. Her hands lifted to her cheeks, trembling. And then, almost mechanically, she reached for a towel and dabbed at the blood like it was a spilled product. The screen faded to black. Harley Dawson didn't log back on for 48 hours after the stream. She didn't delete the video. She didn't address the comments. She didn't even call 911. When paramedics arrived at her apartment at 9:47 p.m., it was because multiple viewers had already doxed her location and flooded emergency lines with reports of a visible stabbing. Sadie Marlowe was found unresponsive, face down in a puddle of diluted blood and setting spray, a towel stuffed into her neckline in a crude, useless attempt to stop the bleeding. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Harley was upstairs in the bathroom, applying concealer. When police questioned her, she claimed it was a prank gone wrong, then pivoted to self-defense, saying Sadie lunged at her after an argument about cosmetics. But investigators weren't buying it. The scissors were retrieved from beneath the vanity, still coated in blood. Forensic analysts found no defensive wounds on Harley. Surveillance footage from the building showed Sadie entering with a tote bag and tea, not the behavior of someone planning violence. Most damning was the live stream itself. TikTok had automatically cached the footage. It was analyzed frame by frame, showing Harley reaching calmly, precisely, and deliberately. Her expression never changed. She didn't flinch, didn't hesitate. The stab was targeted, anatomical, clean. Prosecutors argued it was jealousy weaponized in real time, that Harley's ego couldn't survive Sadie's rise. In court, Harley leaned into the performance. She wore modest clothes, spoke softly, cried on cue. But the jury didn't blink. Fans filled the gallery in pastel outfits, holding photos of Sadie smiling with drugstore lipsticks and coffee-stained hoodies. The judge called Harley a narcissist in full makeup. She was sentenced to 28 years without parole. Her accounts were banned. Her sponsors vanished. But the algorithm didn't care. Clips from the live stream still surfaced. GRWM gone wrong montages, fan edits, mock reenactments. Someone even deep-faked Harley's apology into a makeup tutorial. The lines blurred again. Sadie's death became a lesson wrapped in lipstick, that in a world built on appearances, even murder can be filtered. Harley killed for a spotlight she couldn't share, but the new killer didn't want to share anything. Not his fame, not his secrets, not his screen. He was the kind of influencer who thrived on mystery, until someone tried to expose him, and that's when he stopped performing and started erasing. Lucian Loop Vera was the mystery no one could solve, and that was exactly how he liked it. Known across Twitch and Discord as the voice behind a booming true crime storytelling channel, Loop had built an empire around secrets. He narrated real murders with a tone so smooth it felt hypnotic, dissected criminal psychology with unnerving precision, and hid his face behind softly flickering candlelight and a perpetual low-res blur filter. No one knew where he lived. No one knew what he looked like. No one even knew if his name was real. And that was the point. Mystery sold. His entire persona was built on the illusion of closeness. Voice notes to his followers, private chat room drops, live streams titled, "You'll Never Guess What I've Seen." But in truth, Loop never shared anything about himself. What no one knew was that Lucian Vera didn't exist. The man behind Loop was using an alias, fake documentation, and a VPN web of burner emails to maintain the illusion. His true identity had been sealed since 2017, the result of a sealed expungement file in another state, the details of which even Loop's most obsessed fans had never pieced together. Except for one, a Discord mod named Rika. She had been with him since the early streams, helped build the channel, handled back-end tasks, knew his hours, habits, timestamps, and time zone inconsistencies. Rika wasn't just a fan, she was a digital forensic student. And over the course of 1 year, she started connecting dots. Not on purpose, just patterns. IP drift during uploads, data registry glitches, an old voice clip in a deleted podcast that matched a cold case. When she brought her findings to him in a private message, Loop played it cool. "Interesting theory," he wrote, "but dangerous curiosity." Rika took it as banter. He took it as war. Over the next month, Loop began subtly pushing her out, removing mod access, banning her alternate accounts, changing upload times to throw her off. But Rika had already backed up everything. She had a 43-page PDF, anonymized, formatted like a dossier, and she was planning to release it, not publicly, but to another mod, just in case. That's when Loop made a decision. If someone was going to dissect his secrets, they'd have to die for it. He messaged Rika directly with an apology, claimed he was paranoid, burned out, ready to rebuild trust. He said he wanted to send her something, a care package, as a peace offering for all the work she'd done. She hesitated. He insisted, said it was just tea and trinkets, like he sent to top donors. She gave him a P.O. box. But Loop had already traced her identity weeks earlier through a database leak tied to her Discord handle. He knew her address, and what arrived at her apartment 3 days later wasn't tea. It was a laced vape cartridge, packaged to look like a novelty brand with a tiny card, for when your questions get too heavy. She didn't even blink, thought it was a joke. She unboxed it live on a Discord stage stream for close friends. They laughed. She tried it. Within 9 minutes, she started slurring, then choking, then collapsed on camera. The stream didn't end. It froze, her body twitching on carpet, her cat meowing off-screen, viewers screaming her name. Someone called paramedics, but she was already gone. Rika's death was first reported as a medical incident during live stream, but the internet knew better. Within hours, footage of her collapse had gone viral, cropped, slowed, re-edited with eerie music, and passed around as the vape stream. TikTok users speculated it was a seizure. Reddit threads exploded with theories, but the autopsy report cut through the noise. Acute fentanyl poisoning delivered through inhalation. The vape cartridge had been infused with a synthetic compound strong enough to kill in under 10 minutes. It had been packaged to look like a boutique product, but the oil inside was cut with a custom mixture traced back to a dark web recipe involving household solvents, cutting agents, and fentanyl analogs. The cartridge bore no brand name, just a sticker that read, "Breathe Deep." Investigators turned to the package. Postmark tracking revealed it had originated not from a known distributor, but from a generic parcel locker in Washington state, 15 miles outside Seattle. The return address was fake, but the box had been sealed with tape-bearing microprint identifiers from a specific Amazon fulfillment location. The postal barcode led to a kiosk purchased using a burner credit card, registered under the name L. Vera. That opened the floodgates. The account was tied to a Proton Mail inbox used only once. But that inbox had received a shipping confirmation from a dark web mail drop tied to an IP address that briefly, accidentally connected without VPN, and that IP traced back to a rental property in Bellevue, Washington. Surveillance showed a man using the kiosk, hoodie, mask, but same sneakers worn in a deleted Loop Instagram story. The USPS timestamp aligned with a timestamp in Loop's server logs for a test stream. He'd covered his tracks well, but not perfectly. Discord access logs were subpoenaed. One alternate account used for back-end moderation had a recovery email tied to an old Twitch account under the name Lucian Elijah 5. From there, it collapsed. The email had been recycled from a podcast hosting site in 2016, a now-deleted show called Soft Horror. Voice comparisons between that show and Loop's channel were a 97.8% match. The voice was his fingerprint. Within a week, Loop's anonymity was dead. FBI agents raided the Bellevue rental property and found it empty. But inside were burner phones, P.O. box keys, packages of lab materials, and an unwashed hoodie that matched the delivery footage. The desk still had an open browser tab showing r/true crime podcasts. Loop had fled, but not far. They caught him 9 days later in a roadside motel outside Yakima, Washington. He had dyed his hair black, shaved his beard, and tossed the signature glasses that appeared in one blurred stream reflection. But it was him. He was found with 3 phones, 2 vapes, a handwritten notebook, and $6,200 in cash folded into a hollowed-out book jacket titled, "The Man Who Wasn't There." He didn't resist, didn't ask what he was being arrested for. He just looked at the officers and said, "Tell them it was poetic." Inside the notebook were pages of ramblings, some coherent, some not. One entry read, "Rika was trying to unwrite me." Another, "They'll clip her death before they clip the truth." But the most haunting page simply said, "You have to kill the story before it kills you." Prosecutors called it the most carefully executed influencer murder case ever recorded. Lucian was charged with first-degree murder, mail fraud, and use of a controlled substance in an interstate homicide. During the trial, the prosecution laid out every breadcrumb: the fake vape company sticker printed from a 3D template, the cartridge assembly purchased through a proxy IP, the time-stamped message to a friend that read, "Today, the narrator becomes the plot." Lucian refused to testify. His lawyers argued mental instability, paranoia triggered by isolation, and online dissociative personality disorder. The jury didn't care. They returned a unanimous guilty verdict in under 4 hours. He was sentenced to life in federal prison without parole, but the digital ghost he left behind hasn't disappeared. In the weeks after the trial, Loop's old channel was flooded with cryptic tribute edits, slowed voiceovers, candlelit animations, quotes pulled from his notebook. Fans speculated he faked it all. Others called Rika's death an art piece. Reddit threads labeled him the last real narrator. Someone even remixed his voice with lo-fi beats and uploaded a 24/7 stream called Loop Lives. And in that twisted aftermath, Rika, the girl who just wanted the truth, was reduced to a footnote beneath a man obsessed with hiding. Lucian never showed his face. He never logged off. He just ended the story the only way he knew how, by killing the one person who read the script too closely. Lucian killed to protect his secrets. But the next one? She didn't hide anything. She smiled, lit a candle, and went live. Her weapon wasn't silence, it was presentation. Because when the jealousy runs deep, and the brand depends on being number one, even a best friend can become a prop. Or worse, a message. Marin Glow Grind Bellamy built her brand on transformation, body, skin, mindset. A blend of beauty guru and gym rat, she carved out a niche as the face of glamour grit. Sunrise runs followed by contour tutorials, green juice beside highlighter palettes. Her Instagram glowed with mirror selfies and workout edits, and her YouTube channel grew fast. All hustle, all shimmer. She sold ambition in 60-second reels. And when a younger creator named Jaden entered the scene with similar aesthetics, the audience thought they were sisters. At first, so did Marin. She DM'd Lexi, collaborated, shared followers. But then Lexi got the Fenty campaign, a deal Marin had chased for 2 years. Marin smiled in public, but in private, she started unraveling. She began obsessively watching Lexi's content, pausing frame by frame, recreating her looks, mimicking her captions. She even changed her upload times to overlap with Lexi's. Friends noticed. One said it was like watching a glitch. Then Marin announced a surprise collab, a glow grind wellness retreat at a luxury hotel. She invited Lexi as a VIP guest. Lexi agreed. The live stream was scheduled for the rooftop juice bar, but Lexi never made it past the suite. Marin told the front desk they were filming a wellness skit. She booked the suite with blackout curtains. Inside, ring lights, a phone tripod, and a chilled bottle of lemon-infused vodka that had been pre-mixed with powdered depressants. Lexi took a single glass, collapsed 12 minutes later. Marin didn't panic. She positioned Lexi on the velvet chaise, adjusted her hair, began the live stream with a title that read, "Self-Care When You're Struggling." Her face was radiant. Lexi's was still. The live stream ran for 47 minutes. Marin Glow Grind Bellamy kept the lighting soft and the tone softer. She told her audience this would be a raw, unfiltered check-in. No makeup, no filters. Just two friends dealing with burnout. But only one of them was awake. Lexi Dane lay slumped beside her, head tilted, breathing shallow, eyes barely open. At first, viewers thought she was tired, then drunk, then drugged. But Marin kept talking. She applied lip balm, talked about comparison culture, about feeling overlooked, said things like, Sometimes your wins don't get seen until someone else copies them. Every word was layered, coded. The chat started shifting at the 18-minute mark. One user typed, "Is Lexi okay?" Another, "Why isn't she blinking?" Then came the flood. Viewers clipped timestamps. Screen recorded the way Lexi's hand twitched, then stopped. Marin barely glanced at her. When someone wrote, "Call 911 now," Marin said, "This is a healing space, not an emergency room." That line went viral. At minute 34, Marin placed a crystal on Lexi's chest and whispered, "Breathe through it, babe." Lexi didn't move. Someone posted the stream on Reddit with the title, "Glowgrind's friend might be dying on camera RN." The mods pinned it. Within 10 minutes, Marin's hotel suite was reported to police by a 16-year-old viewer in Toronto who tracked her location using geotagged sponsor tags from previous posts. Officers arrived while the stream was still rolling. The moment Marin opened the door and the camera caught the flashing red and blue reflection in her teacup, the internet broke. The screen froze, then cut to black. Marin didn't cry when the officers entered. She didn't resist. She didn't even speak. She stood in her matching robe and headband set, ring light still casting a faint glow behind her as they checked Lexi's pulse and radioed for emergency support. Lexi was unresponsive. She had a weak pulse but no reaction to light or pain. Her skin was cold. They rushed her to the nearest hospital, but she died in transit. Acute respiratory failure caused by a depressant overdose. The toxicology report found a synthetic benzodiazepine variant mixed with trace sedatives delivered through a chilled vodka base. The bottle had been rinsed and relabeled. No fingerprints but Marin's. Her search history included terms like low-dose knockout without taste, how long does it take to stop breathing from downer OD, and how to fake a fainting livestream. Her laptop cache showed she rehearsed the livestream script 6 times the day before. When questioned, Marin told officers Lexi wanted to take a break from the industry and that the stream was symbolic. The DA didn't buy it, neither did the jury. But online, things split. Some fans said she was clearly guilty. Others framed it as a ritual suicide, pointing to Marin's use of crystals and breathwork as proof of emotional spirituality. A viral TikTok theory even claimed Lexi willed herself to die from comparison burnout. The internet refused to pick a side, so it picked both. Sadie's family, devastated, begged platforms to take the stream down. But clips still circulated. One slowed-down version of Lexi twitching to ambient music gained over 3 million views before it was removed. Marin was found guilty of second-degree murder. Her sentencing hearing was live-streamed by 5 separate commentary creators. She received 34 years. Her last public words before being taken away: "At least now I can finally rest." Her merch store was shut down. Her channel deleted, but reposts of the stream remain, spread across burner accounts and fan memorials like digital incense. Some still call her misunderstood, others call her the poster child for filtered violence. And every time a viewer stumbles across that frozen final frame, a smiling influencer beside a fading girl in silence, the question repeats: how did so many people watch and still not realize it was real? Some wanted attention, some wanted revenge, but all of them wanted to control the story. And when words stopped working, they used blood instead. On streams, on screens, in real time. No jump cuts, no edits, just murder with a Wi-Fi connection. Their followers watched in shock. Some watched in silence, but none of them could stop what had already begun. Because once the feed goes live, you're either the one telling the story or the one getting erased from it.